unfortunately, all good things do come to an end. So for right now, we are back to what's broken on the Miata and no more cool, fun track Miatas with friends. So for those of you who are unaware, this car has been broken for about a year now. And unfortunately, I've discovered yet more damage. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is kind of just go through a couple of the newly discovered broken pieces and talk about fixing it. Unfortunately, that's all I have for today's video. I have no actual fixes. Biggest problem, number one, is that boy, the 60-2 crank wheel. Unfortunately, what we think is that 60-2 crank wheel is, I don't know, not correct or something. Basically what's happening is the car will be driving reasonably well, and then all of a sudden it has a massive misfire, and I even see on the AFR gauge that it kind of loses for a little bit, so I can see that it's misfiring. What we think has happened is this 60-2 crank wheel is welded to the harmonic damper on the car. And what that can unfortunately cause is, if it's not balanced correctly, it can cause a wobble over time, which then wears out the harmonic damper way prematurely, which then can potentially cause the signal to get lost as it's getting too far away from the crank angle sensor. I do have a half solution. This isn't mine, this is actually a customer of mine. He has this for his 1.8 liter. And what this is this mounts directly to the same, well, the crank bolt. So it bypasses the harmonic damper altogether, and it kind of just sits in front of it. So unfortunately, I can't use this because this is for a 1.8, and I think this diameter is different. But I think that's our new solution. I'm going to be honest, it's technically, there's plus minuses for both situations. What's on the car currently is also good bad, but this is also good bad. It's just, it may work slightly better for our scenario. There are alternatives on how to mount these, or have a different setup for 60-2 or crank signal in general. This is kind of the best that we can do. So I think this is the route that we're going to do. Unfortunately, it requires essentially getting this piece custom made, like bullets cut into the shape that we need. Now, what else is wrong with the car? So sometimes when I'm driving, I have realized, because I'll come to a stop and I'll check, my coils just randomly do this. I actually have pictures where I took pictures of what it looked like after a drive. Now, you can see I do have bolts to tighten this plate down, if I'm to. Unfortunately, I think that the little thread that they're supposed to use is too small, to the point that the bolts just can't always back out, even irrelevant of what I do. So the new solution is, underneath this, there's more bolts like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and remake that. Or we're going to take the tapper cover off and we're going to weld on top of those bolt holes that I've already made. We're going to weld something to the tapper cover, and then we're going to put bolts, we'll thread that and then put bolts onto that. So then it's just one fixed feature. Kind of. Obviously not weld this on, this will still be separate, but we'll have two little spaces. Another issue my car seems to have is that it just leaks oil everywhere. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's an oil patch there, there's under there. I think this gasket is probably old and failing on the O-ring. This, I don't really know why it's leaking, but I've noticed all around the entire tapper cover, it tends to leak. So I don't know why. I'm assuming it has to do with the extra pressure because of the being turbocharged and stuff, but I don't know how to even fix that, to be honest. I also have this oil leak that I need to get a new pipe for. I don't want to get this chopped off, what we made for the wastegate, but I have an internal wastegate, so fuck that. So past the suspected crank, obviously potentially causing the misfire, we do know that the ECU is probably still an issue, yes, because of the crank signal, but also even if the ECU is reading a correct or an okay signal from the crank, it still randomly cuts power to all the coils, or signal to all the coils. So we still think the ECU is an issue. I don't know why I'm pointing at that thing. The ECU is obviously in the car. And then on top of that, as spoken before, if the coils are damaged, they can damage the ECU. So even if I change the ECU, I kind of have to change the coils at the same time. So coils also. We don't know if these are wrong or not, or if they're just not healthy or what, but we want to change that. I've also been advised that the RX-8 yellow injectors are not that great, so I should probably change those. And just one final piece, whilst I'm driving the car, I've noticed that the tune is kind of awful. So as you guys can see, I have my AFR gauge here now. Basically, if I'm driving the car, I've noticed if I'm kind of just leaning into throttle and I'm not like putting full throttle, full boost, blah, 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 like I'm just overtaking somebody, but I don't have to, go super aggressive. So just light bits of throttle, but it is going into boost. My car just runs super duper lean. Like I've seen it hit all the way to like 17 and I panicked. Obviously the engine is still okay, but tuned for normal casual driving around basically without being in boost, and in boost but then like full throttle. So I'm missing the entirety of the middle of my map. So that's not very healthy or good for the car, but anyway. Past that, the car is still not making full boost for some reason. It occasionally does, but I've noticed that it's essentially got a boost, or it kind of seems like a boost by gear, but this ECU doesn't have the facility for that, so I don't understand what's happening. Because on first and second gear, it's only really making like 0.4 when it's supposed to be making 0.6 bar. Sorry. So I don't know why. Although sometimes on the highway, but mind you, sometimes, so third and fourth gear, it hits that, which is very confusing. Additionally to all of that, obviously the clutch is still an issue. And I kind of still don't know what to do there, because everything that I've read online is, confusing me. Basically, what I've read online is I can put the 1.8 flywheel on and then the whole 1.8 clutch assembly, which will help a lot, because basically it's a slightly bigger clutch, slightly bigger flywheel, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, though, what I have also been reading is confusing me, because a lot of the manufacturers say that, okay, no, this kind of clutch will hold this amount of power. But now, I don't know which clutch I'm supposed to be going for, because a lot of them say, the weaker ones will hold the power, but I'm nervous. So do I go for the ones that are more aggressive? But the ones that are more aggressive tend to wear prematurely. And I, as you guys know, can't afford to replace a clutch every year like I have been doing so far. So I'm confused and I don't know what to do there. Obviously, there is other damage on the car, like bodywork stuff, but that's kind of not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just mechanical stuff for today. I think this is a short video, or at very least I want to edit it to be a short video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry that there wasn't much happening with the car today. But yeah, I also unfortunately haven't anything to record. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Check out the new merch, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.